favorite book ever. I read it in 2nd grade. And it is by the same illustrator who did Curious George. His name is H.A. Ray. And the cool thing about this illustrator, it says H.A. Ray, and that's a man, but his wife helped him do all the illustrations in this book. You know him and the wife from all the Curious George books. And they together illustrated over 30 Curious George books. They're the illustrator. The author of this book, her name is Emmy Payne. Guess how many books she wrote?
25.
Nope.
100.
Just one. Just this one. So, the lady that wrote this book only wrote this book. This is the only book she has. The illustrator did a lot, and that's why you recognize these pictures and the yellow cover, because they remind you of Curious George. So, I'm going to read this to you today, but the words are kind of small. The words are really kind of small. I want everybody to be able to see. So, I think I have one more copy in the hallway. So, David, can I have you just scoot up a little bit? And you know how teachers like show pictures? I'll read it, but would you show, just from where you are, you can just show the pictures. So as I'm reading and you see me turn the page, you turn your page too. So I'm going to let you be a book holder, okay? And we're going to keep it close. Hold on. Nope, Jacob.
I'm sorry. I told him to go get it for you. Rats.
She told me to.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Sister.
I have one more. It's my favorite. And I'm going to have, Damien, I'm going to have you come up. And I'm going to have you sit right here so these guys can see it. So, I'm going to let you hold the book. I'm going to read the words. And when you see me turn the page, you turn the page. I'm going to use it right here next to you. But I need one more. One more. One more. I need just one more photo. I want you to see here. These guys can't see. Can you hold this for them? Oh, wait a minute. I don't have one. Hold on. I told you this is my favorite book. Would you hold this? Oh, wait a minute, I don't have one. Oh, wait, I do have one. Oh, thank goodness I have one. You know how much I love this book? I love it this big.
Too much.
This big, but I need help, and I need a girl. Chloe, will you come help me with this book?
Yes.
Alrighty, you guys are my assistants. So, David, you're in charge of that side of the room. You gotta make sure they can see the pictures. Damien, you get front and center. Chloe and I will share this book. Evan, you've got this group, and you've got this group. So, can everybody see now? I want you all to be able to see my favorite book. No Pocket. I do have a pickle tree. I do have it. Yeah, I get it out at Christmas time. Okay. Is everybody ready for Katy No Pocket? Are we ready, Miss Maya?
Yes, we are.
Away we go. Katy No Pockets by Emmy Payne. Pictures by H.A. Ray. And I'm going to let you hold, and I'm going to kind of stand back. Big tears rolled down Katy Kangaroo's brown face. Poor Katy was crying because she didn't have a pocket like other mother kangaroos. Freddie was Katy Kangaroo's little boy, and he needed a pocket to ride in. All grown-up kangaroos take awfully big hops, and little kangaroos like Freddie would get left far behind unless their mothers had nice pockets to carry them in. And poor Katy didn't have any pocket at all. And you guys can turn the page also. Katy Kangaroo cried just thinking about it, and Freddie cried too. Then all of a sudden, Katy had a wonderful idea. It was so wonderful, she jumped 6 feet up in the air. The idea was this. Other animal mothers had children, and they didn't have any pockets, so she'd go and ask one of them how they carried their babies. Freddie looked all around to see who to ask, and Katy looked all around too. And what they both saw were two bubbles rising up from the river right beside them. "Mrs. Crocodile," said Katy, feeling lots better already. "She hasn't any pocket. Let's ask her." A lot of big muddy bubbles came up through that water. And then Mrs. Crocodile stuck her head up and opened her enormous mouth and smiled. "Why, Katy Kangaroo, what can I do for you today?" "Please, Mrs. Crocodile, I'm so sad," said Katy. "I have no pocket, and Freddie has to walk wherever we go, and he gets so tired." Oh dear, what should I do?" She started to cry again. The crocodile began to cry too, and she said, "What can I do for you?" "You can tell me how to carry Freddie," said Katy. "How do you carry little Catherine Crocodile? Oh, do please tell me." "Why, I carry her on my back, of course." She was so surprised that anyone should know that she forgot to cry anymore. Katy was pleased. She said thank you, and as soon as she got to a good squatting down place, she squatted and said, "Now, Freddie, climb on my back. After this, it will be so simple, no trouble at all." But it wasn't so simple. In the first place, Freddie could not crawl up onto her back because his knees stuck out. He couldn't hang on because his front legs were too short. And when he did manage to hang on for a few minutes and gave Katy a long hop, he fell off. So Katy saw that she couldn't carry her baby on her back. Katy and Freddie sat down again and thought. "I know, I'll ask Mrs. Monkey. I'm sure she can help me." So Katy and Freddie set off for the forest, and very soon they found Mrs. Monkey. She had her young son Jocko with her, and Katy Kangaroo hurried so to catch up with her that she almost was out of breath. But finally she managed to speak. "Please, Mrs. Monkey, how do you carry Jocko?" "Why, in my arms, of course," said Mrs. Monkey. "How else would any sensible mother carry anything?" And she whisked away through the trees. "Oh dear," said Katy, and a great big tear ran across her long nose. "I can't carry anything. What's wrong with the kangaroo's arms? They're too short. That wasn't any help at all. What am I going to do?" And she just sat down and cried harder than ever. Poor Freddie, he just hated to see his mother cry. So he put his paw to his head and he thought, "What about Mrs. Lion?" he said. "They don't carry their children. Those poor things walk just the way you do," said Katy. "There's the birds," said Freddie. "How do they carry their babies?" "Birds? The mother bird pushes them out of the tree in the nest, and they squawk and shriek and flap their wings." Would that be helpful? Then, all at once, Katy Kangaroo stopped crying and looked at Freddie. "They do say that the owl knows all things," she said. "Well, then let's go ask him," said Freddie. They found the owl asleep in his old dead tree. And he was angry because he didn't want to be woken up in the middle of the day. But when he saw that Katy was so sad, he came out blinking and ruffling his feathers and his scratchy voice, and he said, "What is it? Speak up. I'm deaf as a post." So Katy stood under the tree and she screamed, "I'm a mother kangaroo and I don't have a pocket to carry my child. How should I carry him? What shall I do?" "We'll get a pocket, of course," said the owl. "But where?" said Katy. "Oh, please don't go to sleep before you tell me." "How should I know?" said the owl. "They sell stuff like that in the city, don't they? Now go away, I need to sleep." "So, let's go to the city," said Katy, and they went to the city. Katy was so excited that she almost left Freddie behind as she went leaping over bushes and hopping along the path, singing in a sort of hummy way, a little song she just made up. You guys want to sing? Ready? Hippity hoppity, flippity floppity, wasn't it a pity? I didn't know it was to the city I should go. She hopped so fast that Freddie could hardly keep up. But at last, they left the woods behind and came to the city. illustration's great in this one. Where there were stores and houses and automobiles. The people stared and stared at Katy, but she didn't notice it. She was looking for pockets, and she saw almost everybody had them. You guys have pockets? And then all at once, she could hardly believe it. A man who seemed to be all pockets was coming towards them. Big pockets, little pockets, medium-sized pockets. Katy went up to him and laid a paw on his arm. He was a little frightened, of course. But Katy looked at him with those sad brown eyes and said, "Please, dear kind man, where did you get all those pockets?" "Well, these pockets? You want to know where I got these pockets? Why, they just came with this apron, of course." "You mean you can really get something to put on that has all these pockets on it already?" "Sure you can. I keep my hammer and my nails and my tools in my pockets. But I can get another apron. You can have mine." He took off the apron and dumped it upside down. I probably use the words upside down. Out fell a saw, a wrench, nails, a hammer, a drill, and lots of other stuff. And then the man shook the apron harder and harder and turned it right side up again and put it around Katy's neck and tied it behind her neck. Katy was so pleased and excited and happy that she couldn't hardly speak. She just stood still and looked down at the pockets and smiled and smiled. Now by this time, you can imagine a big crowd had gathered to see what Katy was doing, and when they saw how pleased she was, they all smiled. At last, Katy was able to say thank you to the nice, kind man. And then what do you think she did? She popped Freddie into a very comfortable pocket. That would be hard to pick the right one. And she hippity-hopped home faster than ever before because, of course, she didn't want to have to wait for Freddie anymore. And when she got home, what do you think she did? This is my favorite page. Cute. What do you think's going to happen? She had so many pockets that she put Freddie into the biggest one, and then into the next largest she put Leonard Lion, Thomas Tortoise, and he fitted just right in another one. Sometimes she had a baby bird if its mother was busy. And there was still room for a monkey, a skunk, a rabbit, a raccoon, a lizard, a squirrel, a possum, a turtle, a frog, and even a snail.
And the caterpillar.
So now all the animals like Katy's pockets better than any other pockets in the whole forest. And Katy Kangaroo is very happy because now, read with me, she has more pockets than any mother kangaroo in the world.